How's it going, Luka Nation? It is Luka Nation Conrad here, and of course, I'm going to be doing another breakdown on the Starstock Emerging 30 Index. But real quick, before I get into it, if I sound a little bit different or a little bit weird, I've got really bad allergies right now, so I figured I'd just let you guys know that's why I might sound a little bit different or a little bit weird. Real quick, I'm going to share my screen and let's get right into this. So, if you're wondering how to get to the Emerging 30 Index to view the whole index yourself, you can go to Starstock, scroll down a little bit, and then hit the Emerging 30 Index right there. And of course, you'll be right onto the page. But I'm going to give my quick breakdown about this about what we've been seeing or the activity that we've been seeing in this index as of recently. And to start things off, John Collins is jumping up. We're seeing some pretty significant, or at least kind of significant gains in comparison to what we've been seeing from him, over the past couple of weeks. But recently, things kind of seem to be turning around. So let's talk a little bit about it. So John Collins wasn't even extended in the past offseason, and the Atlanta Hawks actually signed Danilo Gallinari as a potential backup power forward this season, which led to a lot of people thinking, oh, so John Collins is obviously going to be traded in the offseason. And while those rumors have still been circulating around a lot, the Hawks recently, like the past 6 or 7 games, have been on an absolute tear, a hot streak, and are just on fire, putting themselves higher and higher into the playoff picture, which means they may not be trading Collins and might actually try to extend him in the upcoming offseason if they can, because they are playing very, very, very well right now. And with so much news circulating John Collins overall with potential trades and the Atlanta Hawks performing so well, and they're finally back into the playoffs and they're actually relatively high, like in the middle of the playoff race, there's just so much talk around him and around his team that his prices are kind of starting to trend up a little bit more, especially because his prices were also kind of low in comparison to, once again, what we have seen before. So I think that he's just on a lot more people's radars. And, if they continue on the trajectory that they're going on as a team, we could see these prices continue to climb until, we get closer to the playoff time or the team plateaus. Or if he gets traded, his prices could absolutely take off, because obviously when players get traded, their prices just seem to explode every time. Next up, Kobe cards are crashing. And when I say Kobe, I don't mean Kobe Bryant, but rather Kobe White. He's had an up and down season, but it has mostly been down. He's had a couple of small rises throughout this season, if you are watching this. As you can see on March 15th, little 1.8% rise, but since then he's actually dipped 21%. And I'm going to guess the biggest reason for this was because he officially was moved to the bench as a sixth man. And so his prices are going to be hurt a little bit by that. Now, he's not getting a ton less minutes than what he was already getting in the first place, but I do think he is better for this team coming off the bench. Why is that, you may ask? Well, he's been quite inconsistent, and his biggest strength, or his play style, is centered around his scoring ability. He is a scoring point guard, not an amazing playmaker by any means, and that's what he always falls back on. And that's typically something that you would want coming off your bench as kind of a spark plug if your offense gets into a slump, or if you're just looking for a little bit more offense, right? If you're playing a heavily defensive battle and you're like, okay, we're going to take someone out of the game, we're going to bring in a little bit extra offense, try to pick up the tempo, pick up the pace, and see if we can get some more points on the board. That would be Kobe White. That would be your guy. And he was replaced with Tomas Satoransky as more of a playmaking point guard, which is something that the Bulls did kind of need. Now, I'm not really sure what to expect from his prices, right? Because there is a good chance that he has some really nice games off the bench this season that can create some more excitement for his cards. But we are officially seeing his cards reach some all-time low territory right now. So if you do want to buy Kobe and you believe in him, now would probably be the time to do so. If you're still kind of questioning it, it wouldn't be a bad time to really buy his cards, because once again, they're very, very low. But of course, there is always risks to be taken with that, because you have your doubts, right? Next up, MPJ, looking for more. For those of you that don't know what that means, MPJ stands for Michael Porter Jr. He is ridiculously talented, but he's not getting the opportunity that he needs in Denver. Yes, he's finally getting more minutes a game than he used to be, but he's still not getting enough shots, pretty much averaging the same number of shots, I believe, as Will Barton. And Michael Porter Jr. is a much, much, much better and more dangerous scorer than Will Barton is on any given day. I mean, since because of this, I mean, we've seen some pretty good games from him, but his prices have actually dipped by 11.1% and are now at $64 in the Starstock Emerging 30 Index. So we're kind of in a weird moment, right? I don't really know how to explain this. He's just not getting the amount of shots he deserves, yet he has a lot of people believing in him and a lot of people doubting him at the same time. There's just a lot of questions, a lot of red flags, or just a lot of issues overall with Michael Porter Jr. and his cards right now that I think people are kind of just like, you know what? I believe in the kid, but he's not getting the opportunity he needs. I'm going to be pulling my money out of his cards right now and looking for some better plays. And that's kind of ultimately led to some cheaper prices than what we've seen in the past. Now, in the future, like I just did say, times are kind of weird, so I can't guarantee anything, or I'm not completely sure what to expect from him in the playoffs. But what I'm most likely going to expect is to see what we saw last year, where the Denver Nuggets kind of fall back on him a little bit more, give him more shots like he deserves, and we see him start to score a lot more points than he's averaging in the regular season. But with Mike Malone, nothing is guaranteed. Moving on to the last guy that I'm going to be talking about. You all know him. Maybe you all love him. I'm going to guess that's probably not. But Luka Doncic, Luka the Don, Luka Magic, whatever you want to call him. Luka's Tigers and Bronzo, my. Luka's taken a pretty significant hit as of recently. So the Mavericks have been playing very well, and obviously so has Luka. He's an extremely talented player. They've finally broken as a team. They've finally broken through that quote unquote playoff barrier as an 8th seed, which means that they're finally in the playoff picture. But we've just saw a massive, massive dip in his prices, 35.3%, going from $850 to $550. That is a significant drop off. What caused it? To put it simply, I think this is just a correction. His prices had been sitting, at $850 for 5 straight weeks. And the rest of the market had been on the downswing during that period. So $550 seems to be the new floor for Luka since all of that market activity has occurred. Now we're finally in the second half of the season. So if the Mavericks can keep their head above water and they continue to remain in the playoff hunt, we could see these cards maybe reach that $850 price point again. Obviously Luka Doncic has a lot of love. He's a super talented player. He just doesn't exactly have the best team around him, and that's not exactly making things easy for him and not exactly making things great as far as his card prices go. Now, that's going to be the end of my episode. If you do want to check out the index, like I said, go to starstock.com. Here's a quick preview of it for all of you guys. But that's all I have to tell you guys today. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Welcome back to our weekly Starstock episode. And I'm excited because I think things are peaking up for the Starstock liquidity platform. In terms of users, how much kind of volume is going on the platform, and I've been playing around, and today I think you guys are going to really enjoy this episode. We're going to talk about the data as we always do. Conrad's going to break down his segment as only Conrad can in detail. But I've made 3 trades on Starstock: 1 soccer, 1 basketball, 1 baseball cage. You excited to hear about them?
I can't wait to hear them all. We see basketball, by the way, in the sales breakdown by sport. We see basketball decreasing again and now has a single-digit lead over baseball. So sales breakdown by sport, football 15%. Basketball, last time we gave you last week, that had just fallen below 50%. It's now 46 and change, with baseball up to 38%. So the sales breakdown, I would give it another couple of weeks, although basketball probably heat up again. But baseball is coming. And baseball is heating up. It's over a third. And only 8 percentage points behind basketball. So let's hear those trades, man. Let's hear them.
Well, something I was thinking about, so all these platforms, Top Shot, Dibs, Starstock, they're all market makers. You know what I mean? They're all market makers. And as much as, user acquisition is a big deal, they also have to facilitate volume. And what I've seen, and I don't know if you've seen this, is more people buying and selling on the platform recently, which is important because, if there's no buyers and sellers, how can you really make trades? So I'm excited. I don't know.
You definitely need people. You definitely need people to make trades and make markets. Otherwise, if there's no one there, liquidity, right? But I mean, if you look at some of these cards that are there, how many cards they have, even PSA 10s of like a Bo Bichette or somebody like that, they're definitely pretty liquid. and some of those are baseball cards. So that's pretty cool. That'll get you to some real prices. And here's another one of those things, right? You would think that Starstock might also be, since it's new, similar to Dibs or anything like that, right? Where the pricing is just weird. Because of the liquidity, because of the card, you're getting what I consider a fair market value for these cards. Sometimes less because the prices are, only 5% fees, unlike eBay. Whereas, that Bo Bichette, rookie card might be 4 times the price on Dibs because they have one of them being broken up into, 28 pieces of the cake. So let's hear your trades, man.
All right. So I bought an Mbappe Prism PSA 10.
Sweet.
Awesome. I think he's going to run up a little bit more. Chance League's coming up. That's the logic. I'm a fundamental guy, so to speak. Then, with LaMelo Ball, you and I were talking, who's going to get a real opportunity? We talked about him yesterday.
Yep. Devontae Graham.
So
although I watched the game yesterday, he was like 3 for his first 3 from 3, and he had like 9 points and a couple of assists and whatnot in the first half, and then all of a sudden he just like fell off a cliff in the second half. The team played good. Gordon Hayward had a really good second half, but he kind of, he still was not looking for his shots. So I was expecting, hey, he's starting for the first time in a while. Get out there and show your stuff, and he really didn't. So I was a little disappointed, but it's just one game. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm on mute. I don't think he's going to be that guy. I don't think he's a guy that's like he's not a show-off basketball player. I think he's just a smart fundamental player.
Yep.
I think when he's on the court, he gives the team a better chance to win. I think what was difficult for him was LaMelo was just a little bit more talented and for that team. But I think his performance is gonna speak for itself, and I'm hoping to flip that. And lastly, the 3-headed monster. I feel like Acuna doesn't get enough love. Do you feel that as well?
He was my play last week. I mean, I was shocked at how cheap he sold by comparison to like Tatis and Soto and those guys. I mean, he's a beast, and he was selling for, basically 2/3 the price.
So those are my plays, and I don't know what's going to come of it. I'm curious myself. I'm monitoring the market now on Starstock. When you put your money where your mouth is, you monitor the market a lot more.
It's true. It's very true. And should it surprise anyone that even though he was high on the sales by value in number 3 and sales by count number 3, after we talked about him last week, he's also the worst performer in number 3, down almost a quarter, down 23%, Kevin Porter Jr. This was you, man. You said it. You said, look, this is one of those where if you have the guy, sell the guy, and I did. I sold a bunch of my stuff on Starstock. He's a good enough player, but come on, it was G League. He's putting up G League games. He put up a couple of decent games in here, and it was just it's a great lesson to be learned, right? About the let's call it the sociology of this hobby, right? I mean, people just jump on that hype train, right? And it's a dangerous ride from Talon Horton Tucker to Kevin Porter Jr. to we can name a million bowls out there. It's amazing what happens when you have that hype train, and more often than not, that hype train derails and runs out of steam real fast.
I think there's going to be some interesting moments in these next few weeks. Baseball. Baseball starting. But what happened with the LaMelo injury? Well, now we're going to have a race like we've never had for Rookie of the Year. It's been a while since we had a Rookie of the Year race. Don't you think so?
Yeah.
Now we have Halliburton, we have Edwards. I guess Wiseman's out of the picture because he got hurt. But what if the Warriors are the one team that actually is in playoff contention, and he starts averaging 16 and 8?
He's been playing well recently. But yeah, it's a real race. I think Edwards is head and shoulders above those guys right now. But
for Rookie of the Year,
yeah.
You think Edwards is going to win Rookie of the Year?
I do.
Wow, that easy, huh?
Yeah, I think that's who wins it.
Why over Halliburton's had a better season, no?
Halliburton's all right. But he's got a lot of Halliburton has no let's call it name recognition outside the hobby. And, while he's a hobby darling, he hasn't done anything like highlight reelable or, anything flashy or anything great. And I also don't think that that his team would be any worse if he was out of the lineup. I think they would win all those games. Whereas I don't think the same is true for Edwards.
Let me give you their stats and you tell me.
Yeah, please.
So Halliburton averaging 12 points a game, 1.3 steals, 5 assists, 3.5 rebounds. Anthony
12, 5, 3.
16 and a half points a game, 2.6 assists, 4.3 rebounds. Wiseman.
All right, so 16.43 to 12.53. So Edwards is a full 4 points more per game and close on the assist and the rebound. Go ahead.
Wiseman, 12 points a game, 11.8 points a game, 6 rebounds a game. No assists, no steals, no blocks that are valuable to this.
So
kind of
I say
here.
Edwards is, head and shoulders above those other two. I mean, 16 points to 12 points is a big difference. 12 points in today's NBA, I mean, that's a bench player.
Oh, there's some truth to that. I mean, Halliburton was coming off the bench. So are you looking at draft picks to potentially day trade them as because regardless of what you think, it's definitely going to be a conversation as the year wears down.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and we've heard the conversation. And in the hobby, Halliburton is loved. People love Halliburton, and his pricing is right around where Wiseman is, just a tad below Edwards. So it's definitely a conversation. And I think, if you're looking at prices and the reaction, when LaMelo went down, Edwards and Halliburton cards saw a little bit of a jump because of this. I personally don't give too much valuation to rookie of the year. You know what I mean? As like something that's going to add value to the cards, at least not long term.
We're talking about Starstock, right? So it's day trading.
Yeah. So I mean, even like a day trade on card, sure. Do you think that when they announce that this guy won Rookie of the Year, I guess it's possible that there's a little bit of a bump that day. But those awards to me, it's a funny thing, man. I mean, Ken Griffey Jr. didn't win Rookie of the Year, and Zion didn't win Rookie of the Year, and everybody's going to know that these people are winning Rookie of the Year this year because LaMelo got hurt. So. I think it comes with a shaker of salt. But yeah, I mean, I guess the sum and substance on it is if you're buying those guys, one of them might see a small bump if they win that award in a couple months. Sure. My money would be on Edwards.
Jordan Poole. First 900 sales, double the next guy.
I sold a lot of Jordan Pooles also recently. He had a couple good games. He looks good.
For the Warriors?
Yeah, he looked all right. But I mean, what this shows you is, all it takes to get 900 sales is, a couple of people going after somebody and buying a bunch of Starstock Bs and, a couple by volume. Because, if you look at by value, Jordan Poole and Taylor Horton Tucker, they're not on there. Those are the top two guys by sales count, but neither of them make the value list. So people are buying probably low end stuff, stacking up and trying to flip those guys. So it's a smart thing to do on Starstock, right? Somebody like Nick Claxton is on the top 5 players by sales count, by volume, obviously not by value, but that was somebody who, was pushing DeAndre Jordan for, starters minutes and we talked about him. Who was it? Did Spencer Dinwiddie come out and say he's a really good player, best young talent on the team or something like that? And, when that happens, a lot Taylor Horton Tucker, you'll see a little price bump. I got one for you. Did you notice that top 5 players by sales value? Did you notice who jumped into that top 5? Deshaun Watson.
It's we're not going to go down this road because honestly, it's sometimes we don't. And I mean, this is investing, this is gambling, whatever the line is, but like we don't weigh the risk, right? Like, so what happened? Is it feasible that he doesn't play another game in the NFL?
100%.
With 13, it's 13 cases against him, right?
It's very possible he doesn't play again. It's definitely a possibility.
And his cards would go to 0, right?
Yeah, close. I mean, his cards, they're definitely nowhere near the value they are now, which is on the promise of him turning into one of the, better quarterbacks of all time, the way his cards are priced now. Yeah, I mean, they'd be pretty darn close to 0.
Interesting. I would be in a holding pattern with that. To me, the risk outweighs the reward. Like
I just think it's interesting he made it into the top 5 in value, especially with I think his cards going down in value. Is that people dumping them?
For a Prism PSA 10. $800 for a Prism PSA 10.
Now, but was it people dumping them? Is that what it is? It's just that a lot of people jumping in and buying them at a discount.
Yeah, for sure. There was a few sales, a few kind of like people priced it really low, accepted an offer really low. You know, it was probably a $1,500 card 2 weeks ago. It's selling for $800-900. But to me, like sometimes I do this ratio. You know, my risk to reward, I want it to be 3, 4, 5 if I can 10 to 1. But with him, if his cards could go to zero or let's say even half price, if they could go from 800 to 400, so that's they need to double in proportion, and my risk reward is 1 to 1. So I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does.
So like to me, there's way better investments out there with the same upside with less downside.
So speaking of good investments, I like that in the top performers list, number 2 up a little more than 12%. John Collins. You think that has anything to do with his?
John Collins,
but you think that has anything to do with smart people out there on Starstock realizing that his name has been dangled in a lot of trades? You know, he's one of those guys that didn't get paid. Atlanta might not want to pay him next year, and you know, trade deadline comes. I mean, you would think Atlanta wouldn't be a seller per se, but I've heard his name in trade talks. Him and Cam Reddish.
When's the NBA trade deadline?
The 25th,
right?
25th. Yeah, 2 days.
Thursday at noon, is it?
Yeah, I think 3 o'clock maybe.
Wow.
It depends on the time zone.
It's going to be interesting. I would love to see Bradley Beal go to the Heat. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to see that. And if there's one general manager that could make that happen, Bradley Beal. What else we got here, Cage? So, man, the Warriors, total 5 teams by sales count. The Warriors are crushing everybody.
Oh, because of Poole, right? I mean, when somebody has 900, when Poole himself had more sales than any other team combined this past week. Boston Celtics as a team had 812, and Poole himself had 914 total sales, which is just, it's amazing. Some big Poole fan went in there and said, all right, the weather's getting warmer. I want a pool.
Cage, you've told me this, and maybe we could talk about this. Are you in a bit of a holding pattern right now, seeing what happens?
100%, 100,000%. And, I'll tell anybody who's ready to listen. The market is doing crazy things right now. Doing crazy things. So we have had a run up, and now we've had a little bit of a pullback. And there's nothing wrong with sitting on the sidelines a little bit and watching the trends develop. Good day traders will make money not calling a bottom and selling at a top, but by watching the patterns and trading those patterns. A very smart day trader I know once told me that. And if you watch the patterns and you sit on the sidelines a little bit, you can jump in after watching a few hours of the trading day and know how the next few hours are going to go. It's the same type of thing with everything, right? And cards are no different, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with sitting on the sidelines and doing your research and looking for, looking for the next place to put your money.
Is that hard for you? Or you've learned that that's a value?
It is hard. I don't want to lie. It's definitely hard, especially if you've sold some stuff and you have, basically money burning a hole in your pocket, right? All you want to do is redeploy that back into the market, put it into something else. But sometimes, the market is not, it's you have to wait for the right opportunity, I guess, right? You have to watch and see how it all shakes out. So yeah, 100% it's hard. But right now I haven't redeployed a lot of capital from recent sales. We'll see.
You know what I'm thinking? This is how I'm playing Starstock. I think the first 2 weeks of April are going to be manic. I think there's going to be a lot of buying opportunities. I wanted to buy those 3 cards, specifically the Cunhas and the Mbappe, is with the logic that if I could sell them for 20, 30% more in the next few weeks, I could liquidate and redeploy that capital into some of like the more penny stocks plays that might be available on Starstock when I see a trend, right? So instead of kind of keeping my money sitting in cash, which I don't know, sometimes I like to do that, but sometimes not. I thought, Mbappe, the number 1 guy in soccer right now, trending up. Why don't I, get in for a good price? I bought it literally at the exact same price as I could have bought from eBay. No shipping, no taxes, instant ownership transfer. Sit it there, let it sit in my portfolio, and wait a few weeks, just like you, and see, what kind of baseball trends are going to happen, right? So what are we, a week and a half away from baseball season, Cage?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. A week, basically.
Cool. And from an administrative operation
week.
standpoint, I couldn't, we spoke with Starstock the last few weeks. Their ingestion times are faster than they've ever been. They're processing more cards than ever. They have no issues with withdrawals. So I don't know if that matters for people. For Cage, that matters a lot. They're getting more cards in than ever. There's more buyers and sellers on the platform, which is hugely, hugely important. What else is top of mind, big guy, before we wrap? And
yeah, I mean, listen, the fast track, the fast pass that they run, it is basically back to normal, right? It's back down to a week or less for fast pass if it's only fast pass that you're submitting, or fast pass. They are still at approximately 8 weeks for total intake of non-fast pass items. And they're working to get that down to obviously a more manageable, turnaround time. What I'll tell you is this: we have a Starstock couple of groups. People reach out to me, hey, it's been this many days. If you have something that's past 8 weeks, send me a message.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll mention it. And more importantly, support@starstock.com. Easy email to remember: support@starstock.com. If you're outside of that 8 week window, if you're at 9 weeks or 10 weeks, I mean, I wouldn't pester these guys, obviously, but if you're past that 8 week window, send them a message. Say, hey, I got this email from you. This is when this is when the intake happened. It's more than 8 weeks. Is there something wrong with my submission? Did I do something wrong? It was not labeled the right way. You name it, and have them take a look at it, or send me a little note, and I'll try to check in with them for you as well. No promises there. It took 8 weeks for my for my stuff to get into, so we don't get special treatment. But obviously, if it's something that that we can bring to their attention, we will. I mean, look, my take on it is this: I hope over the next week or two we're seeing more Series 1 flagship baseball on the platform. But it just came out a few weeks ago, so there's a reason why it's not there. But I would love for opening day to have Joe Adell cards being traded on Starstock. And trust me, I'm sure they're aware of that, and they are working towards it as well. We hear your feedback. We've seen your messages, and we do approach them with it, and we do let them know what you're saying. So, if you have any other comments or anything like that, please feel free to let us know, and we can bring it up with them. So there's that. The only other stuff really is guys, I think there's an opportunity here in basketball. I just do. I think that we are basketball, just like the numbers, right, that we're talking about here, that basketball is not being passed yet, but close to it on, because baseball's coming, and basketball, we just had the All-Star break, and we're still far enough 30 games away from the playoffs that people are, they're forgetting about it a little bit, and blah, blah, blah. You can get right now trading Starstock A Prism is under $200. You know what I mean? And the highest offers are 145. You'd have to beat a 145 offer for a Starstock A these are cards that were, significantly more than that, not that long ago. And he seems to be starting to get his spring back. Did you see that alley-oop he had yesterday against the Celtics?
I didn't, but I would recommend people to go to Luka Nation Conrad's page and take a look at his graphic on Ja Morant, should you invest. He does a really good job breaking it up.
Nice.
No, I hope he gets his spring back.
Dude, they had a steal. Dylan Brooks tossed one up, and he caught it with the left hand and slammed it with the left hand, like an awkward slam. It was like, there weren't that many people in attendance, but all of them who were there were standing. It's good to see, because his first couple weeks back after that injury, it looked like he wasn't going full out. He was a little nervous, and he's definitely getting his legs back under him. And that's what makes him exciting.
I don't think that his jump shot is out of the question. If he, in the off season, can really find a jump shot, and that's not guaranteed, I think he could be a superstar. But that's the one weakness that I saw since his coming back and watching his games. He doesn't really have a reliable jumper, whether from three or kind of a mid-range game.
Yep.
Okay, I'm excited for performance-based movement. Right now, we're kind of in a lull period. We have two big injuries in the NBA that kind of deflated the market. The market was already deflated a little bit. But when when the rookie of the year and the best player in the league go out, I think people are completely sleeping on Giannis and the Bucks. I'm not even going to go there from a just performance standpoint. They're really kicking it into gear. But
hey, Houston won. You don't think want to talk about Houston? They finally won a game after losing 20 in a row.
That was crazy. At one point, the Houston team ripped off 7-8 games in a row, and they were in the playoff race. But what was I going to say?
Giannis and the Bucks and performance base. You're getting to the point that we're now.
Baseball's going to start. There's going to be a home run race. Oh
yeah.
They break up that the home run race into months, right?
Yep.
So
well, it's not official, but let me tee you up,
please,
right? Because exactly what you're talking about. You know why I'm going to love Starstock? There are people out there who might not be great long-term holds for their career, but there are guys who are going to get hot and hit a whole bunch of home runs with an all-new lineup with more protection from Francisco Lindor in New York. You want to talk about anybody who might be a good Starstock play who, even though he's not exactly the cheapest, because a lot of people have this idea, he heats up for 1 week and hits a ton of bombs, the card could double.
So, dude, the Mets are going to be good, but we say the Mets are going to be good every single year, right?
Their offense is going to be very good. And they have some great pitching. So
the best pitchers in the league, and their offense is going to be good. Pete Alonso is who we're talking about. But make some offers. Don't just hit that buy button and be lazy. Yes. Make some offers. Be a little gritty here, because, or hell, man, I saw a few people selling Pete Alonso cards for $45-$50 right now on Instagram stories before the season. Maybe grab a few of those and send them Starstock. Those are fast picks. Those are much quicker to get in. So, and they've sped it up. Remember, their ingestion times are a lot faster. Maybe, hey, let's go back to the well. Maybe you buy some Pete Alonso cards off eBay for $40-$50, send them to Starstock and get them logged in by mid-April. Then you're sitting pretty.
I will be sending in a bunch of fast pass graded. As soon as my next PSA sub, supposed to be tomorrow, comes back. We got a bunch of Kyle Lewis. We got a bunch of fun stuff. No crazy cards in there, but send them on in. Graded cards. They're scanning them in a lot quicker. And yeah, guys, listen. There are definitely some bargains to be had on Starstock. I purchased a couple cards this week myself, what's the fun one we always like to look at? Who was last week's worst performance from a Starstock A perspective? You ready for this? Our worst performer. You know who number one was? Down to you can get for $550 a Starstock A.
Who's that?
None other than Luka.
Correction.
I think that's not the most liquid card in there. And there's a lot of people buying them. So you get one or two people who are willing to let it go and maybe buy stuff for put some money in their account for baseball. But those are the bargains, man. Exactly what you said. Be gritty. Don't be lazy. Make some offers. And somebody probably made an offer to someone for a Luka Starstock A at $550 and they took it. You know what I mean? So Zion, $280 for a Starstock A. These are not crazy prices. And remember the turnover. So this is why I haven't gone crazy in Mbappe like you did, right? So people might want to start buying baseball, right? So they sell some of their assets to get into baseball. More importantly, what I was thinking about with Mbappe is the soccer fans, right? The people who like soccer, they want to have money for soccer. There are 3 huge soccer releases coming out in the next 2 months. Chrome, Bundesliga, and then Topps Finest Soccer, all before like May 5th. So if I'm a soccer guy,
a lot of releases coming up.
A lot of releases wax. Well, they're opening the floodgates again now. So it's just there's interesting stuff, and it's fun to watch how the market moves and why. So
I agree with you. More often than not, I buy at the top of the market. So
no, I think Mbappe at the prices they're at now are very small because they're a third of where they were. What I'm saying is, if you're planning on buying some, watch for the next couple of weeks. People might, if I got $1,000 and I want to buy a couple boxes of a new product, maybe I sell that Mbappe for $1,000 or $1,200. Somebody who has a bunch of those might liquidate one, and you get a steal.
I love buying on discount. Like if you're looking at Mbappe for $1,200, but someone offers it to you for $950, $970, $980, you're already sitting. But even $1,000, awesome. Another episode of Starstock. We hope you enjoy the Conrad special where he goes into depth looking at the data. Please remember to sign up if you're a first-time depositor. Luka Nation 10 is the code. If you deposit $5, you get a $10 bonus.
That's right, as long as you put in $5.
And what else, Cage?
That's
Any cards
everything, man.
any cards you want people to make an offer for?
No, I mean, the vast majority of my portfolio now is Luka and Zion, and I bought a couple of Devontaes, like we talked about on Starstock. Unless you want to buy Prism Basketball Draft in Starstock B and Starstock C of no names for pennies. That's all I pretty much have sitting there. So loads of fun, guys. Enjoy. Follow the data. Who's the worst performers? Kevin Porter Jr. I wouldn't recommend him for an upswing next week. Darius Garland down 30%.
Can I talk about one last thing? I know this is kind of a rambly type of episode,
Let's go.
Sometimes we have these. This is, let's say you have $1,000. This is how I've deployed $1,000. I have 250 in Top Shot. I have 250 in Starstock. I have 250 in the market, and I have 250 in cards. I've spread my assets out a little bit.
Well, I'm glad you added the end to that. Listen, these headphones, they don't work so good. You're spreading your assets around. I don't know what you're doing over there.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Of course I do. Thankfully.
Well, I'll explain it. Back to like sitting on the sidelines. I don't know if cards are going to have a run, if Starstock's going to have a run, if Top Shot's going to have a run, if the stock market. But I want to be prepared. I'm kind of monitoring all of those markets. It's a little bit more time-consuming and taxing. Sometimes it's time to go all in on one thing. I've been kind of a little bit more diversified.
That's it. Nothing wrong with diversifying the portfolio. It's a smart way to be. All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed our Starstock episode this week. Thanks for listening.